Welcoming everyone to the panel discussion under the banner Collaborate CET. As a College of Engineering Trivandrum, we have a very wide alumni network. Here, lockdown kalata, alumni, the initiatives are started. So it is to help our students to aid, to facilitate industrial gap bridge to help them pursue their higher education courses, everything, for each and everything, we have an alumni coming up. We have a specialized agenda of procuring a placement which is going to have a very good salary package, an attractive offer, and yes, getting settled somewhere here in India or in abroad. Gate, CAT, and UPSC options try out the and we have another sector of people who are actually thoroughly engaged in, I need to go for my higher studies somewhere abroad. Or else I need to start off with my something sort of research. I want to do some research activity. We project or experiment or project, whatever it is, we need a patent or else research paper publish. There are so many things coming out. We don't know where to start. The source of information. How do I get the source of information? Like how to start, where to start, when do I start? But answer we need to do a thorough research through the internet. Internet accredited course and accredited country to do our higher studies. Wide answers. So it's actually not reliable. Seniors and we see that they are very successful out there. Yes, even I'm gonna prove successful out there. So dilemma questions seniors second year, third year, fourth year, but they figured out a way. They tackled a way. Research with their connections, with the network, they were able to find a way out through it. Our dream destinations land. They're doing the wonderful higher studies out there, doing the research, doing the patent work, publications, and what else. We questions and answers. That's going to be extremely impressive. So the main agenda of this panel discussion here today is we have our seniors, our esteemed seniors, who are doing absolutely well in their own fields right there. So welcoming you all again to this panel discussion under the banner Collaborate CET. First of all, gathering a formal welcome. Let me welcome our dearest alumni, Anu Koshi, who is actually a 99 electrical batch alumni and also is currently the CETA California board member right now. So ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Ankita. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Collaborate CET. Today, we have a first of its kind panel discussion organized by CETA Alumni Association with CET faculty and students. So we are extremely happy that you could all join today. I'm Anu Koshi, a 1999 graduate of CET. I currently work as a head of inclusion and diversity at UST Global. I'm based in Los Angeles, and I'm a proud board member of CETA California chapter. So let me start off by welcoming Dr. Gigi CV, principal of CET. Welcome, Gigi, sir. We are honored that CET is led by our visionary leadership.
I know you are on mute. Anu, please unmute and talk.
Yeah, I think somebody muted me. So for today's session, we have assembled an incredible panel. They've all been extremely successful in their respective fields and have pursued or are pursuing higher education in world-class universities across the globe. Special thanks to Abhilash sir, Disha ma'am, and Ashalada ma'am for connecting us with them. A warm welcome to Krishna Kumar Gopalakrishnan, Anu Kuncheria, Femina PV, Balagopal Unikrishnan, Gokul Krishnan, and John Paul. You are all role models for us. I know that all of you students listening in today will follow the footsteps of our esteemed panelists in a few years. A big welcome to all the faculty, CET faculty, and my fellow CETA alumni. Last but certainly not least, happy to see all the students that have tuned in today. This session was curated just for you. So a few months back, a few of us CET alumni, Sunil and Ganesh, Anu, Tarun, and I got together with Gigi sir and a few enthusiastic CET faculty, Abhilash sir, Jisha ma'am, Jayashree ma'am, Srilata ma'am, Ashalata ma'am, with the goal of converting CET into a world-class research organization. And today is the first step we're taking in that journey. So ellarkku ende sneham niranja swagatham. I don't want to hold you up any longer. As I wrap up, I'm also very excited to let you know that some of our panelists here today have agreed to be your mentors. So be ready to grab the opportunity after the session. Sit back and enjoy the discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And now for the presidential address, we have a beloved principal, Dr. Gigi CV with us, sir. Sir, welcoming you, sir, for the presidential address.
Good evening, all of you. First of all, I would like to congratulate Anu Kosi, Anu Prabhakar, our faculty members for organizing this event. And I would also like to thank our panel members for agreeing to be in this group today and interact with our students. And I often, I don't want to take too much of a time, but I'm very much interested to talk about higher studies. So I would like to take maybe 5 minutes to talk regarding that. And I often recommend our students to do their higher studies. And if you are doing your higher studies, you should be in 2 places. A CETian should do their higher studies only in 2 places. If you are in technical, it should be in IIT or IISc. If you are doing it in India, it should be in IIT or IISc. If it for engineering, and if it is you are doing some management, maybe it should be in IIMs. Or you should do your higher studies in a good university abroad. That is what when I was taking classes in the electronics department, I often tell this to my students. So, and when I joined as a lecturer in the year 1991, the trend during those days was that usually 2-3 students get into IITs and IIScs for their masters, and 2-3 students in the Department of Electronics. 2-3 students often go for their high, maybe generally the toppers, they go for their high studies in good universities in US. Yeah. But that was a trend. But now that trend has slightly declined, and but still a lot of students are going for their high studies, but not immediately after their BTech, but maybe after working for some 1 or 2 years or so. But that trend is still continuing. Now, why you should do the higher studies? But, you all are CETians, you know about CET. CET is a very different institution. I would frankly tell you that academics is not our prime activities, because the system does it. It's not it's a fact, and I'm not blaming anyone else. It's a fact, because you are just part of a university, and there are when I was a student, there were only 4 engineering, just 2 engineering colleges, Kerala University. Now there are all the universities are all the engineering colleges under Kerala Technological University, and there are more than 150 colleges, and we are just one among them. And for it's mainly examination oriented. Our teachers, teach for exams. Mainly, if some particular teacher is teaching a little advanced, sometimes most of the time, people will complain. Even postgraduate students complain. Last semester, some postgraduate students came to me and told me that, sir, this particular teacher is giving us a lot of work, and so. Right. So there's no CET that it has been the trend for for the last 8 years that academics it is there, but it is sorry, it's often for examination, and not it was not our prime activity. But CET is important. CET is famous for a lot of other activities. You do a lot of things there. You do have your activities, lot of your clubs, cultural activities. Those things are very much important, and you learn your life there. So you get better experience in CET, and that is a very good attraction of CET. But academics, if you compare with good academic institutions like IITs or top class universities abroad, academics is not that important in CET. Because if I am teaching a particular subject, most of the time it is for examination point of view, and if nowadays students also, they will not allow. Majority of the students, they won't agree if you are giving them a difficult assignment or difficult problem, or if your examination is a little difficult. So that is what it is. So but there are a lot of people in CET who are very much interested in academic activities, and there are a lot of students actually who do good quality projects, becoming part of good competitions, challenges, etc. But my advice to all CETians is that, as far as possible, all of you should do your higher studies, and that higher studies should be in a good institute. Why it should be in a good institute? I got the opportunity to do my MTech and PhD from IIT Bombay. But there is a lot of difference between academics in CET and academics in IIT actually, because their academics is very rigorous. The way the subject is delivered and the way you are evaluated, it is completely in a different way. They will check you whether you have understood the subject, and because of that, most of the people who complete their masters from IITs or IISc, they get very good opportunities. Suppose a computer science student passing out from CET gets an average salary of some 10 lakhs. The salary that IIT graduates get is maybe 25 lakhs. Average salary is 25 lakhs or even more. Because they get better opportunities. So the first thing, why you should do your higher studies, because you often get very good opportunities if you do your higher studies in a good institution. Now the second point is, why should you go abroad? Again, if you're going abroad, I will again recommend you to do your masters in a good university. I know people who have done their masters in Stanford, in MIT, and even in Berkeley, even Oxford, and so there were many CETs. And if you look at these days, we are very much connected with our alumni because of these online platforms and all. During this lockdown period, we are very much connected with our alumni, and this connection is more actually. It's much the very strong connection is with the US alumni, I should say. All these, this Anu Prabhakar, Anu Koshi, and all are from the US California chapter, US chapter, and there are a lot of CETians working in US or also in Europe. Why? Because these are people. Actually, they belong to that group actually. Some 2-3 students, every year from one department, they used to go to US for their higher studies. So after their their MS, they get good opportunities there. And but if you want to settle, if you want to work in a foreign country, and where you will be offered better opportunities, and then higher studies abroad is always beneficial. And these people, all these US alumni, they are people actually who have done their academics, higher studies in good universities abroad, top universities. MS. So that gives you a lot of opportunities, and you get to experience good academics, and you should also be able to do good projects, good internships, better exposure to good conferences, academic conferences, and events like that. Yeah. So these are the benefits, and I'm sure that if you do this, if you do your higher studies abroad, you will get all these opportunities. Then again, I was just talking about MS. I will again advise you that you should also, and some of you, right, if you are planning to do your MS, then after that, you should also do your PhD. But നമുക്കറിയാം CET-ൽ വരുന്ന ഏറ്റവും ടോപ്പ് സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ആണ്, വളരെ നല്ല കാലിബറുള്ള കുട്ടികളാണ്. ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പോലെ സ്റ്റാൻഫോർഡിലും ബെർക്കിലിലും ഒക്കെ പഠിച്ച പല ആൾക്കാരും കൂടെ. So some of you, after your MS, you should try to do your PhD course. Because PhD means, you will be working on a particular topic. You will be doing, if you're working for your PhD in a good institution, you will be doing good quality research. PhD ചെയ്യുന്ന attraction നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പല കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. നല്ല എക്സ്പോഷർ കിട്ടുന്ന നല്ല കോൺഫറൻസ് പങ്കെടുക്കാം. ലാസ്റ്റ് ഇയർ I went for a conference. I work in the field of computer vision, and I went for a conference that is called CVPR. It's a top conference in that particular field. And the footfall was around 10,000. And എല്ലാ കോളേജ് എല്ലാ ടോപ്പ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റീസിനുള്ള ഫാക്കൽറ്റി ബട്ട് ആ ഫീൽഡിലുള്ളവരെല്ലാം അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കോൺഫറൻസ് ആണ്. സോ ഐ കുഡ് സീ the faculty member was coming with his students. പല ഗ്രൂപ്പുകളായിട്ടാണ് അവർ വരുന്നത്. അവരുടെ ഒരു ഫാക്കൽറ്റി മെമ്പർ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ കൂടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഒക്കെ. So if you are doing your PhD in good university abroad, you get such exposure. You can be part of good academic conferences. You can mingle with the good researchers and so on. And then what after PhD? So if you look at good companies like there is people who are doing research in Microsoft, Facebook, etc. ഈ നല്ല യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്ന് PhD എടുത്തവരാണ് അവിടുത്തെ റിസർച്ചസ് ഒക്കെ. That is one thing, one option. So after PhD you get very higher opportunities, one thing. And after that, you can become a faculty. Like I am a faculty member, the faculty's job and it's a wonderful job. But CET faculty, it's a നമ്മളുടെ job കുറച്ചുകൂടി different ആണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. Faculty job, why I say that it's a wonderful job? Because when I am teaching a BTech student here, actually, most of the time I teach fundamental subjects or I give some assignments, it's mostly examination oriented. But if it is in a good institution, a high level institution in the teaching, even if it is a fundamental teaching, that will be research oriented. You will be given a lot of good problems, you will be given challenging assignments, and then you will get to know about what exactly is happening in that particular field. And so if you take a good PhD, you can become a faculty member in a good university. And if you become a faculty member in a good university like IIT, you get the attraction is that you get enormous amount of freedom. You can do whatever you like. Your salary may not be that high as as high as that you are getting from some good multinational company. Microsoft or Facebook salary, but you get a lot of freedom. You can do research on the topic that you like, and if you are good, you can bring in a lot of money, funding you can get. So these are that's a very 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 interesting life. If you are a researcher life, it's a very very interesting life. So you can always read, think, a lot of people around you, and that's a wonderful life. And I will always advise some of you to do your good PhD also from some good universities. And today I'm very happy that our panel members are Femina of 2017 civil engineering batch, who is doing her postdoctoral fellowship in Penn State University. Anu Kuncharia of 2011, she's a graduate researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. Gokul Krishnan, 2018 AAA, he is an associate project engineer at ABB. Balagopal Krishnan is 2017 CSE, a research engineer at Institute for Infocom Research. Then John Paul, 2018 mechanical engineering alumni. He is a master student in TU Mini. Krishnakumar Gopalakrishnan, 2006 AAA, and he is a research fellow in Imperial College because he's a PhD from. I'm great to see all of you here, and our people, our students will be having a lot of queries, like how to get into this type of universities. Number one, what about the funding opportunities? The studies in these universities, it is very expensive, not like our CET education. So it's very very expensive. So, but there are a lot of funding opportunities. So what about scholarships? Our students will be very curious to know about these things, and also the opportunities. So if you are doing, I told you a lot of things, but that is from my experience. But these are actually people who have done their masters and PhD in some good universities abroad. So they will be able to share what are the opportunities, what are the opportunities other than that I mentioned. So that you get after doing a PhD or higher studies in some good university. I'm very happy that you all are joining us. Once again, I thank Anu and her team for organizing this wonderful event, and I wish all the best. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we're going to head towards a much awaited panel discussion. Your panel discussion item, let me welcome Abhishek Jayachandran of third year electrical and electronics engineering student. And in the meantime, students in എല്ലാവർക്കും chat box അവരവരുടേതായ questions ഒക്കെ എടുത്തിടുന്നതാണ്. So നമുക്ക് questions ഒക്കെ at the end of the session we can ask it to the panelists and get all your queries cleared. So happy listening and get all your queries cleared. Thank you so much. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Ankita. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കാവോ?
Yes, കേൾക്കാം.
Okay. First of all, എല്ലാവർക്കും thank you for attending this meeting. ഇപ്പോൾ നല്ലൊരു കൗണ്ട് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. So thanks for that. Um, welcome panelists, welcome students, welcome alumni members, everybody. എൻ്റെ ഇന്നത്തെ ജോലി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് എന്ന നിലയ്ക്ക് aspiring engineers, aspiring researchers എന്ന നിലയ്ക്ക് നമുക്ക് കുറേ ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ about റിസർച്ച് ആവട്ടെ, പബ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ആവട്ടെ, പേറ്റൻസ് ആവട്ടെ. അപ്പൊ അതിനെപ്പറ്റിയൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ഡൗട്ട്സ് ചോദിക്കാൻ ആപ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നല്ലൊരു പാനൽ ഓഫ് മെമ്പേഴ്സിനാണ് നമുക്ക് ഇന്ന് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. സോ അവരോട് കുറച്ച് നമ്മുടെ ക്വയറീസ് ചോദിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് ഇന്ന് എൻ്റെ ജോലി. സോ ഐ എം ദ മോഡറേറ്റർ ടുഡേ ആൻഡ് വിതൗട്ട് ഫർദർ അഡു നമുക്ക് നേരെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസിലേക്ക് പോവാം. First of all, let me introduce our panel members. നമ്മുടെ ഫസ്റ്റ് പാനൽ മെമ്പർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കൃഷ്ണകുമാർ ഗോപാലകൃഷ്ണനാണ്. So he's a 2006 EEE batch student, and he did his MS in Electrical and Computer Engineering from Virginia Tech, and he's a PhD Imperial College London Research Fellow at the Center for Computational Sciences and at University College London. Hi Krishnakumar, ഞാൻ പറയണ കേൾക്കാവോ? Hello.
Thanks for introducing me. Good to be a part of the forum. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And straight away, I'm just gonna go to the questions. Can you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your story, where you are, and what helped with your successful application? You know, when you're applying to a foreign university, there are some, requirements for the application. So could you please explain to me some things about that, like about the application procedure?
About the actual application procedure itself, right?
Yeah, along with the things that you did. For example, if you were part of any research project, you could talk about that, or
Sure.
Patents, anything.
Yeah. So I will share basic. I mean, given that other panel members also have to speak, I'll try to speed up and give you a brief idea. So I graduated
Sure.
with a degree in electrical engineering from CET. This was back in 2006. So at that time, clearly there was not much information flow. So you guys are very lucky these days to have such a good forum. Like there are online forums and there are probably much more opportunities for you to learn more. But back in my day, there was not. I mean, there was still internet and everything around, but well, this was just the era of broadband internet coming up and things like that. So what we relied upon was like publications existing from libraries like the US consulate has a library, and they distribute these kind of educational articles out rather than just relying solely on the internet. But I think that era has completely changed nowadays. So I think that won't be any more relevant in this era. I mean, you don't have to consult published hard copy books anymore to apply for US university. Talking about myself, so after graduating from CET, I went and did as a basic electrical engineering job at ABB in Bangalore. So basically, I was a field engineer in electric motor drives and power electronics. So that was my specialization after CET. And I spent quite a bit of time doing just that. So I spent about 3 years. But I would say it's very important to apply early because the whole process, for example, the US universities takes at least 18 months. The whole process of preparing and applying takes at least 18 months, at least. If you have to do your research in the universities, you have to know the universities well. And sometimes, so what I did was, my experience in ABB was in electrical engineering and power electronics in particular. So I researched all the top universities in power electronics. And I applied two of them, two top universities, and one moderate university and a couple of, let's say, safe, that's what they call safe route universities, and maybe one ambitious university like MIT. And then I cracked 3 out of those 5 or 6 universities that I applied. And then there is obviously a lot of processes that you have to go through this. It's very important to align. You have to, especially a statement of purpose must be very aligned to why you are applying to that universities and how your existing background helps in that process. So if you are in power electronics and if you want to continue in that power electronics, that's great. And there is also, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that you have to stick in that field. I think one of the upcoming questions is about how to change your major. That's absolutely possible. But what I would say is, if it's a bit more, like I would say, a slightly more easy if you are able to narrate in your statement of purpose on why you want to pursue a particular field and why that particular university fits with your long-term ambition. So for me, I got into Virginia Tech based on my experience with ABB, and I had a couple of patent applications filed with ABB at that point of time. So that's why I went to Virginia Tech. I graduated out of Virginia Tech with a master's in power electronics, worked Qualcomm in San Diego as a algorithms and systems engineer, again in somewhat related to power electronics field. Had a couple of patents there, which really helped me towards my PhD application. And I got into Berkeley and a couple of other US universities, Washington University in St. Louis. And I got into CU Boulder, but without funding. And then I got into Imperial College London for a funded PhD program. And that's my story. And since then, I'm working as a postdoctoral research fellow. So I would say the most important thing is to do your research on the universities and the research groups that you would be involved in and start early. I would leave the rest of the discussion to other panel members. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Krishna Kumar. That was really insightful. So moving on, let me introduce the next member of our panel. It's Balagopal Unnikrishnan from 2017 CSE batch. He did his master's in knowledge engineering and intelligence systems from the National University of Singapore. Currently, he's a research engineer in the Institute of Infocom Research in the Agency of Science and Technology and Research, ASTA. So, hi Balagopal, can you hear me?
Hey, thanks Abhishek. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, you can call me Balu since that's easier.
All right.
So I think I can follow a similar pattern to what Krishna Kumar did, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, okay. CET പഠിച്ചതുകൊണ്ട് കഥകൾ കുറച്ച് അധികമുണ്ട്. I'm going to limit these stories such that it's going to be useful for in the perspective of higher studies. So, എൻ്റെ കാര്യം എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ I was a computer science student and 2017 pass out ആയത്. Immediately after that, like I had a few job opportunities, but I didn't stay back. Immediately within a few months, I moved to Singapore in 2018 for my master's at the National University of Singapore. So, during that period, I also did a research attachment with the Institute for Infocom Research. After my master's was completed, they invited me to join on board. So I'm currently a research engineer there. In that specific perspective, like I work on AI-based technologies for healthcare systems. Medical imaging is focus. So even though I'm from a computer science background, I do deal with bio and medical stuff most often. So helpful items that came up during the application. So to give you give a high level picture, I'm a typical middle bencher. And 9.9 just remember that, but average 8 into murder GP usually. So that's the scenario. And on top of that, so I used to travel daily, to and from CET. So this was my comfort zone for Trivandrum was my comfort zone for like around let's say 18 years. Yeah. Throughout my schooling and everything. So I used this opportunity in college to travel widely and attend events and conferences. So even in my first year, I remember like we jumped on a train and then went all the way to NIT. Can everybody please mute?
Balu, they muted. Go ahead.
Okay. So first year onwards, I used to travel widely. First year, so beginning, I think the first event that I attended was the FOSS meet in NIT Calicut. So this was a big wake-up call to see that there were other students who were way better than it. അതായത് CET കയറുമ്പോൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും തുടക്കത്തിൽ ഒരു ഇത് ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ, അതായത് ടോപ്പ് കോളേജ് ഇൻ കേരള എന്നുള്ളൊരു ബ്രാൻഡ് ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട്. So this was quite helpful. So while attending these events across the years, this is when I found my interest in using deep learning for healthcare. And along with that, I was an IEEE volunteer for I think even now I'm an IEEE volunteer. So 4 years I had pretty actively volunteered with IEEE. So I held a few leadership positions. So I was the chapter IEEE Computer Society chairperson and the section student representative. So why I gave you these details were, these were like quite helpful points when it come to my application. So simply put, I'm not a likely candidate at my program. അതായത് എൻ്റെ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ യൂഷ്വലി ഒരു 2 to 3 years വർക്ക് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഉള്ളവരെയാണ് അഡ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഫോർ മൈ കേസ് വെൻ ഐ അപ്ലൈഡ്, കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി ആയതുകൊണ്ട് S7 റിസൾട്ട് വന്നിട്ടില്ലായിരുന്നു, S8 കറക്ഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ലായിരുന്നു. സോ ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ദ കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് സിനാരിയോ ദാറ്റ് വാസ് ഗോയിങ് ഇൻ ടു. സോ ഐ തോട്ട് ഐ എനിവേ ഗിവ് ഇറ്റ് എ ഷോട്ട്. So it is through the IEEE network that I found a few mentors, and they helped me move to apply to this. So it's like somebody needs to push you into these programs. Otherwise, you'll have this complex that, hey, these are top universities in the world. No way you're going to make it. I had a good mentor, and he introduced me to these programs. And so that's how I applied to NUS. So during that, so the process is like you first apply, and then you have usually have a test, and sometimes some departments do have an interview. So I had an interview. So ഇതിൽ വളരെ ഹെൽപ്ഫുൾ ആയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്ന 2-3 കാര്യങ്ങൾ വാസ് നേരത്തെ ഷോറ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ക്ലാരിറ്റി ഓഫ് വൈ യു ആർ ഡൂയിങ് ദിസ് കോഴ്സ്. സോ if you can score specifically like this is my 2-year plan or 5-year plan, or these are the specific modules that I'm interested in. So these kind of things, if you reflect in your SOP, they the അപ്പുറത്തിരിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്ക്, so you should think from the side of a graduations admissions committee. അപ്പുറത്തിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക്, if you are clear on why you are attending this course and what you want to do further, then that sort of clarity is rewarded. So they'll take that candidate over someone who just says, I just want to study in NUS or MIT or Berkeley or whatever be the case. So here again, so I had a small Kutti publication, so nothing noteworthy, but still it was useful in the sense that it gave the interviewer an idea that, okay, I was interested in research and I've done my first homework into this and then ventured in this area. So another aspect was I had a collaborative project with the Regional Cancer Center. So this was quite helpful. So either I would recommend to lots of students in CET, as in either do interdepartment projects or tie up with other institutions outside CET. Karanam very often computer science, if you keep within computer science, you're going to end up with a project that your seniors did much earlier. So I have the example of a library management system. വർഷങ്ങളായിട്ട് ആൾക്കാർ ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന സാധനമാണ്. So there is no point reinventing the wheel. So do something new, and these sort of things come during collaborations with other people and other fields specifically, not specifically computer science as such. So then volunteering experience was quite useful. So our leadership positions in the different aspects. So IEEE was quite a good safe zone for me to hone my abilities. So network or just the guts to mail a professor, that itself was quite useful. And I've seen a lot of professors say, they'll just filter out, emails from Gmail and Yahoo if there are too many emails for them to look through. So in that aspect, like having nowadays you guys have the cet.ac.in email ID. So I had my IEEE ID. So these opened lots of, doors for me. And and discovering my interest along with traveling, I did some extensive moves. So I did the deep learning specialization through Coursera and also machine learning. So I made it a point to do something a bit extra for most of the hands-on coding projects or assignments that were done in class. So these played a big role in showing the other side, that the admissions committee, that despite my lack of experience to enter the program, I had dipped my hands and done my homework in a bit of these areas. So usually they'll take a few students, just to add to the diversity of the crowd. So in my case, I think it was that because there were out of the cohort of I think around 180 people, there were like 3 of us freshers. So things that I found common in the three of us were like we had previous experience in specific regions that were being taught in the course itself. Yeah, that's it from my side. Abhishek, back over to you.
Thanks a lot, Balu. I think we could all, really reflect and kind of understand, put ourselves in your toes when you say all this. So for the next person, for the next panel member, we have Gokul Krishnan. He was a 2018 EEE batch pass out. He recently got admission at the Carnegie Mellon University for MS in Energy Science, Technology and Policy with a specialization in ECE. Currently, he's an associate project engineer at ABB. Hi, Gokul.
Hi, am I audible?
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so shall I start? Or
Yeah, sure. Same question.
okay. So I think like most of the points like have been covered already, and there are not much new points that I need to add. But the thing is like starting early is really helpful for like your application, because there are some things that you can't do at a later stage, like building a profile. Like Balu told, I was also active in IEEE, and I also was a volunteer for an NGO organization called Make a Difference. And there are like small things like that matter in your application. Like there are some things like a cutoff, like CGPA and your GRE TOEFL scores for US. But there are some other things like volunteering and the research work you have done, or like projects you have done. So these kind of things you can't build after you complete your BTech. So yeah, and also one thing I was keen on was doing some work experience before applying for MS. So that's why I joined ABB, and I'm working as an associate project engineer in the grid and power quality division. So there you get to know like what is happening in the industry, and what are these corporate companies looking after or going after. So it just gave me a good background of what is happening in the industry, and what are the key trends, and what is being like researched upon, and so on. And actually I took this time at working at the ABB to like fill out the application and do the process as well. But that is a personal choice. You can always do that after you complete your BTech itself and go for the MS. So yeah, that's it from my side. We can take the following questions and answer those after.
Okay, thank you, Gokul. Next, we have Femina PV. Femina graduated from CET in 2011 with a BTech in civil engineering. She did her MTech in water resources engineering from IIT Madras and PhD from Purdue University, US. Currently, she is a postdoctoral scholar at the Pennsylvania State University. Hello, Femina.
Hi. I hope
Hi.
you can hear me well.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Pleasure being here. So regarding my journey, I think it's you already know about my graduation and everything, but higher studies, I think it's a different journey than the typical application process. I consider myself lucky in that way, because IIT, which I got an exposure in terms of an exchange program at Purdue University. So my advisor at IIT Madras, he was very keen on sending his students abroad for conferences and other exchange programs. So I did a 3-month research stay at Purdue with a collaboration they had between Purdue and IIT. So 3 months during that stay, I was able to show my skills in person to the faculty there. So I kind of had a contact with him during that time. And he gave me an offer, like an open-ended offer to come back for PhD if I needed to. So I was working in India for 2 years after my MTech. I thought, I'll go into industry, but then I was missing research during that time. So I thought I'll come back for PhD. And that's how, I started my PhD at Purdue, and then went on to do my postdoc here at Penn State. So it kind of emphasizes the importance of having contacts. Basically, everyone may not have the option for exchange programs. I definitely see a lot of students from India, even in Penn State here. I see people coming from institutes like Amrita and other universities where they would do a short-term stay even during their undergrad. So they kind of get that contact with the faculty. So, and most of the cases, almost like 90 to 100% of the cases, they get an offer for an MS or PhD afterwards. So it's definitely good to have those contacts. Balu has given great examples of, other ways to have successful applications. So in case you're not able to show these skills in person, definitely showing writing skills in terms of, if you have papers, that's ideal. If not, even reports or, having conference presentations, just showing that you're putting in some effort, you are passionate towards research, that will definitely help. Especially in the US now, most of the universities are going towards no GRE approach. Like they're getting rid of GRE these days. So if in that case, it's just your GPA, your SOP, and these skills that would matter. And you're mostly competing with domestic students here. And in the US, especially, an average student would get 3.5 out of 4 GPA, which is quite high in terms of what we get there. So you're competing with them. So definitely need to stand out by building your CV, getting those skills, even quantitative skills. If you can take electives while in CET, which would align with your area of interest, that's very good. If not, taking courses online and things like that would be helpful. So yeah, I definitely have experience with working in industry and academia. So if anyone has questions related to that, I can definitely answer that as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Femina. It turns out that CGPA is really important, isn't it? Unlike popular belief that we don't need to, work hard in college, we just need to do extracurricular stuff. Actually, we need CGPA as well.
There is a minimum requirement, so you definitely need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. For our next member, we have Anu Kuncheria. She is a 2011 civil engineering batch pass out. After BTech, she completed Masters in Urban Planning from School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. Then she worked as a city planner for a couple of years before she started PhD in University of California, Berkeley. Hi, Anu.
Hey, Abhishek. Nice to be here.
Hey.
Thank you so much for inviting all of us. And I think I wish we had this when we were doing bachelor's in CET. This is such a great opportunity. So I'll just quickly brief about, so as Abhishek mentioned, I did my, after CET, I did my master's in urban planning. Then I worked for a couple of years, and then I started my PhD at University of California, Berkeley. And then I'm also currently working as a graduate researcher at the Berkeley National Lab. So it's a tie-up between the university and the lab. So with regard to the application, Elaborating steps which is very important. So just to add a couple of points to that, especially COVID Samayatha, a lot of universities are taking away GRE score away from the application list. So your transcript, your CGPA is at most important, especially because like I'm Prasham Berkeley PhD students are involved in the admissions review committee. So I'm a part of the admissions review committee this time, so I can speak from the admission side point of view. So especially in the top universities, there are a lot of international applicants, and Indians are being compared against Chinese students. And Chinese students' GPA is like 9 out of 9, I mean 10 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. So when we compete, Indians are being compared to the Chinese students. So CGPA, especially now, is very important. But CGPA is just a cutoff. Other kind, they look at your statement of purpose. And a statement of purpose, we have not done anything like that when we are an undergraduate. So it at least takes like 3 to 4 revisions of your statement of purpose to get you the, the actual good statement of purpose. Other faculty actually read through every sentence of the statement of purpose to make sure that you are the right candidate. From the student applicant perspective, we have to actually go through the website, read through what each faculty does, our research to see the alignment. So that is at most important. So CGPA, statement of purpose, and also like Femina and Balu mentioned, the extracurricular activities, the leadership skills. Actually, CET, you can start small groups, work between departments, start initiatives, show your leadership skills. All these are at most of important because that's what takes you. I mean, I know I'm talking about a lot of things, but second year, third year, fourth year, you have your 2 years or 3 years to prepare and actually plan for all these things. So yeah, so I think that's the whole. Allowed you to holistic not just one item. So even if you're in your third year and you think your CGPA is not good enough as of now, you still have time to correct it, and you still have a story to show in your statement of purpose that I made it up in my last semester, which shows your which shows your determination and your ability to overcome obstacles and things like that. So that gives you a good advantage over the other students. Yeah, Abhishek.
Thank you, Anu. Yeah, so there's still hope for us, I guess. All right. So last but not the least, we have John Paul, who is a 2018 mechanical engineering pass out student, and now he's doing masters in aerospace engineering from Technical University of Munich, Germany. He published a number of research papers, one of which is titled Experimental Investigation of Condensation Heat Transfer on chloro-triethylsilane coated grooved vertical tube. I did not understand any of that, but still, I'd like to know what he has to say about this. And so, John, could you give us some introduction about yourself and also talk about your publications?
Yeah. Hello. I'm glad for you to invite me here. I'm glad to be here. I hope you can hear me properly.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, sure. There's not much to say, which hasn't already been said, I guess. But എൻ്റെ കാര്യം പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ ബിടെക്കിൽ തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ തന്നെ I wanted to do a master's from some foreign university. But my thing was I was a bit lazy, so I didn't have a drive towards the beginning. I didn't know what I wanted to do my master's in. ഞാൻ fourth year ആയപ്പോഴാണ് മെയിൻലി ഇതിലോട് തിരിഞ്ഞു നോക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങിയത്. So and that has been a bad move from my part എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. So the important thing I want to focus on is you need to start early. If you want to look for a master's somewhere in Europe or US, you need to start looking at it by the third year. You need to decide in what field you want to do your research or your final year thesis in. And you want to decide where you want to do your master's, which field you want to do it in. So fine. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ എൻ്റെ കാര്യത്തിൽ ഞാൻ fourth yearലാണ് ഫൈനലി ഇതിലോട്ട് തിരിഞ്ഞത്. So I started doing my final year thesis with Rajkumar sir. ഒരു ഹീറ്റ് ട്രാൻസ്ഫറിൽ എക്സ്പെരിമെന്റൽ വർക്ക് ആയിരുന്നു ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. അത് ഞാൻ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ചെയ്തു. അപ്പോഴേക്കും സമയം കഴിഞ്ഞു. ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഞാൻ പാസ് ഔട്ട് ആവാറായി. So ഈ സമയത്താണ് I had a interest in aerospace engineering as well. അഭിലാഷ് സാറിന്റെ ഒരു എലക്ടീവ് സബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതായിരുന്നു മോസ്റ്റ്ലി എന്നെ മോട്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്തത്. ഇപ്പോൾ എയ്റോസ്പേസിൽ പോകണം എന്നായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് എയ്റോസ്പേസിൽ പോകണം എന്നൊരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് വന്നു. സോ ഫൈനലി ഫോർത്ത് ഇയർ ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് തീരാറായ സമയത്താണ് I decided ഒരു പേപ്പർ വല്ലതും ആവാം. I decided to approach Abhilash sir to discuss my possibilities, whether I could do a research work with him. ഇതിനൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഞാൻ ഈ ബാച്ചിലർ തീസിസും ഒരു റിസർച്ച് പേപ്പർ ആക്കി മാറ്റാനുള്ള പ്ലാനും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സോ ഐ വാസ് ഹാൻഡ്ലിംഗ് ബോത്ത് ഓഫ് ദം ടുഗദർ. താങ്ക്ഫുള്ളി അത് രണ്ടും വർക്ക്ഔട്ട് ആയി. ബട്ട് ദ തിങ് വാസ് I got delayed by 6 to 8 months almost. I had to stay back after graduating in Trivandrum itself, and in order to work on these two problems, work on these two research works. So yeah, that's the most important thing I want to add. You need to start early. And also, as many of the previous speakers have already mentioned, the CGPA is truly important. And ആൾക്കാർ ഞാനൊക്കെ പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന സമയത്ത് കുറെ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്, CET-യിൽ വന്നു ഇനിയിപ്പോൾ CGPA ഒന്നും നോക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല, എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും പാസ്സായാൽ മതി. But actually, that's not true. You need a CGPA, a very good CGPA. If you can maintain something above 8, it would be really good. And എനിക്ക് തന്നെ അറിയാം കുറച്ച് പേര്, ഒരാളും NTUവിൽ പഠിക്കുന്നു. He had a CGPA of 9.5 and he got directly admitted in. So without even having IELTS something or other other qualifications. So that's the importance of having a CGPA. പിന്നെ ഈ തീസിസ് റിസർച്ച് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നവർക്ക് that too, you need to start early. You need to find which area you want to do it in. ഇതിൽ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ കുറെ പ്രൊഫസേഴ്സ്, CET-യിലെ പ്രൊഫസേഴ്സിന് നല്ലോണം ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഇപ്പോൾ അഭിലാഷ് സാർ ആയാലും രാജ്കുമാർ സാർ ആയാലും കുറെ പേരുണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ ക്യാമ്പസിൽ റിസർച്ചിനോട് താല്പര്യമുള്ളത്. ഇത് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് നമ്മളെ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് തയ്യാറായിട്ടുള്ള കുറെ പേരുണ്ട്. സോ അവരെ അപ്രോച്ച് ചെയ്യുക. So they will give you a lot of input on what you need to do. Yeah, that's all I have to add. And if there's anything more, you can just ask me. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, John. So we have a question in the chat. The question is that how can we get an internship into prestigious research laboratories like CERN, ISRO, Tesla, DRDO, etc.? And what are the skills that are required to get an internship? And what should be...
Abhishek, one question. What about Gokul Krishnan? Is there or no?
Oh yeah, he's there. He's there. We actually talked to him, right?
Yeah, there's actually I just talked right now.
Yeah. So so the question was, how can we get internship into CERN, ISRO, Tesla, etc., and what should be the strategy? So can I direct this question to Krishna Kumar? Would you be able to answer this?
I would like to pass this on. Unfortunately, I haven't done any of this. This was a very different style of application back in the day. So I think I would leave it to the more recent panel members to attempt to answer this. Apologies for that.
All right. So if there's anybody willing to take this up.
Yeah, maybe I can take a crack at it. So
okay, sure.
Yeah, so this is the scenario. Like you can have collaborations with CERN, ISRO, Tesla, and DRDO. So usually online engagements are possible in even in multiple universities. It needn't be a prestigious industry institution as well. Even within Trivandrum itself, you have a number of really good institutions. You have the Sri Chitrayurna Institute of Medical Science and Technology, CET-IMST. Then you have RCC. So there are lots of scopes for collaboration, and what the thing is, like, whenever possible, try to like reach out to people there. People are extremely helpful. So if you tell your specific situation that I'm interested in so and so things, do you have an opportunity for me? Most people do respond. So same is the case for many of the universities like Stanford and NYU. Stanford, the AIME program, the AI in I think medical intelligence programs have summer programs like which last 1 to 3 months. Then there are some institutions such as University of Toronto in which they promote online engagements. For all of these, the process is similar to what you do in your applications itself. You have to give a small research proposal and say, okay, this is what I'm interested in. And then they'll most probably pull you in. So keep a lookout for these summer programs. So now, thanks to COVID, you can do these online. So your visa issues are like alleviated. So another thing is like I've seen lots of students. I think a few CETians attended last year as well. There is the NTU India research collaboration in which you can come to Singapore, like stay in the NTU hostels and do a few projects along with the faculty members here. But all these, usually the norm, what I say is, it is not CETians that you should get through. It's there are other colleges from CET which you would not consider in equal ranking, but these people are extremely proactive and they come in large numbers across India. So even though you are, there are many smart students out here, just because you do not apply, you do not get these opportunities. So that's the scenario. So maybe for a local context, I think many of the faculty or the other panel members can give a clearer picture.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Balu.
Yeah, I actually want to add a bit to that also. Like you actually,
yeah, sure.
I also did like apply to some summer internship programs. Like you have programs at IST and ISRO that you can apply online. And once shortlisted, you can go for those. So those things you can check online at the websites. It's available.
Okay. Thank you. For the next question, we have the next question is that when we hear about studying abroad, we always hear about European and North American countries. So how good are Asian universities like China, Japan, Korea, Malaysia? So how good are going there? So can anybody take this up?
Can I answer that?
Oh yeah, sure.
I would say they're very, very good, actually. Very good. Some of the Chinese universities are right among the best. For example, like I would quote an article from Nature, where, I mean, nature.com has a journal, has a blog section which discusses scientific research, and MIT technology, something in similar in vein to MIT Technology Review. So there was a recent finding that back in 1985 or something like that, the China's contribution to scientific output, particularly in Nature, Science, Cell, um, British Medical Journal, and Lancet, and all of these prestigious journals was less than 0.5%. But right now, China contributes about, let's say, about 45% of the overall scientific output in these top journals. It's about 45%, and it varies between 40 and 45. That's a lot. And that really beats out Western universities. America still dominates with close to, I don't know, close to 40% or 45%, similar to what China. China has actually overtaken America in the last few days, and UK and European universities are actually shrinking in that respect. So Asian universities, Chinese universities, particularly, it's very hard to get admission into Tsinghua. It's really, really hard to get admitted into Tsinghua universities. But there will be a language barrier for Indians. And that's something, well, within the university, it's not a problem, but life outside is generally quite hard in China for a non-English, for a non-Chinese speaker. But that can be solved with, like if you have the resolve, you could do that. So that's about China. Now, talking about Singapore, they are right among the best. I would say that IITs and Singapore universities, they're all pretty much in the same league. But the reason why Singapore universities are rated much higher is because of the internationalization. So the amount of international faculty, the amount of international students that they're able to attract makes them better, makes them so, and it's also quite closer to home. So those who are missing home, then if US is too far away, it's absolutely okay for you guys to actually spend your time in Singapore and get that international experience. And if you still want to pursue a PhD or something else in the West, you could still do that. So that option is very much there, and that's less of a cultural jump than directly going to US universities. Or if the distance is a criteria. But so NUS, NTU, and there's also a third university. I think it's called Singapore University of Science and Technology, Singapore University of Design and Technology, or something like that.
SUTD, Singapore University of Technical Design. So they have a tie-up with MIT as well.
Yeah, so they are very, very good. Then there is also a tie-up program called SMART, which is also a tie-up from Singapore to MIT. So if you are getting into one of those Singapore universities, you could potentially, if you are absorbed into one of the SMART programs, it's capital SMART acronym. And I forget what the expansion of that acronym is, but you guys can look it up. And they have a tie-up. So you could potentially spend a semester or potentially even more at MIT. So that's an option. And then on top of it, Tokyo Institute of Technology is ranked quite high. So that's another option. Again, language is going to be a big problem, and for vegetarians, this is it's also going to be a problem, and I would say that. So Asian universities, absolutely good. IITs are actually pretty good too. IITs and IISc is actually very, very good in terms of their international output ranking, international publication quality, and the kind of journal outputs and things like that. NITs not so bad, and I would say our university and CET is also catching up in some ways, but well behind the rest of the world leading ones. So Asian universities, absolutely go for it if you can. No, previously, like 20, 30 years ago, I would say people just go for UK or European or US universities, mainly US universities. Nowadays, I think Asian universities not so bad. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can add one more university to that list. It is KIAST, the Korea Institute of Science and Technology. So they have like lots of tie-ups, and I think there are a few Indian faculty there as well. So you'll see them in most of the IEEE conferences here, in and around Trivandrum. So they usually attend as panel chairs and stuff like that. So in addition to what Krishnamar said, Tsinghua University is right now leading in many of the top AI fields. So I've put a link of one book, which is like AI Superpowers. So recently I had attended MICAI, which is like the top medical imaging conference. So in fact, around 40 to 50% of the output was from specifically within China. So they are pushing in a lot of money, and they're even recruiting people from Singapore to work in organization in China, like Alibaba. Then you have Tencent. You have these huge giants, which large repositories of data. So they have government backing as well. So you will see China emerging as a leader in like in the like next 5 to 10 years, like if US does not catch up with their stuff. So as you said, as you said, like food is an issue, language is an issue, but this all said and done, there are lots of Malayalis in China, so it shouldn't be a problem. You'll get your parota and beef there, so it's fine.
Thanks, Balu. For the next question we have, is an education gap allowed for doing MS or PG in countries like Canada, UK, etc.? So, which is good for doing studies, getting a job, and to settle? Can Anu take up this question?
Sure. So can you repeat that again? I'm not sure if I got the question right.
Yeah, sure. The question is an education gap allowed for doing MS or PG in countries like Canada, UK, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
And is it good for settling, etc.?
Yeah, sure. So it's totally fine if you have a gap. It's just that you'll have to show something like a volunteer experience or in something that you did during that time in your statement of purpose. So especially like in Berkeley, we have, in addition to statement of purpose, there is a personal history statement. I think some other universities also do have these 2 papers that you have to write. So if there is a gap, just try to fill that up with some volunteer activity or some personal projects or some courses that you did during that time. So that just trying to show them that you were productive during those time. It's totally fine that you have a gap, and I mean, nobody really cares. It's just that you have to show that in your statement, and just being able to validate or like show that you did something during that time. So that's totally fine. And the second question was, want to settle afterwards? Like, what is that again?
Is it good to get a job there and settle in those countries, or to come back after the studies?
Okay.
So which would be?
This is a little tricky question because it depends on the country. So I can speak from the US point of view. So in the US, especially after a master's, you get 3 years of OPT where you can work here and then you can apply for H-1B. It depends on the administration of the country, whether it's like, it's conducive to international students. But right now, it's very good, is what I could say. But for PhDs, the scenario is very different. US values PhD students a lot, especially in research institutes. If you're contributing, if you have papers, you will get direct green card applications. Like if you apply within a couple of years, it's very positive environment for PhD students. So I would highly recommend that if you're coming to the US, you do a master's plus a PhD combination. And most of the US universities taken for PhD, you have to do your master's, especially in Berkeley, you have to do your master's and then only you'll get into PhD program. So, and it varies department wise. So if you do a PhD, it's highly good that you stay here and you continue your work. And there is excellent opportunities in industry and as postdoc. Like Femina is a very good example. She's a postdoc at a very good university here. And also, I know in my research group, so I'm in transportation engineering specialization. My work is mostly on simulation, route optimization, and geospatial analytics, which I didn't do anything in, it was not my focus area while I was doing my bachelor's, but after you come to the US, the resources are so much that, you can do whatever you want to do. Like if you want to change to something else, whatever is your passion, you can do all that here. So it's a very good opportunity if you do PhD. And I would highly recommend if you're coming to the US, not just for a master's, but to continue for your PhD because the resources are unlimited. I was amazed by the kind of opportunities that we have here. So yeah, and definitely you can stay here and continue your work. So great opportunity, and I highly recommend all the bachelor students to plan for it and come here and work. And CET students can definitely get in. So when I got into Berkeley, it was all IIT students around me, and I remember when I once went to a CETA California meet, and the CET I mean, the recent Rajat, they were like, CET പിള്ളേർക്ക് Berkeley kitto. CET പിള്ളേർക്ക് definitely Berkeley kittum. Berkeley, Stanford, MIT, എല്ലാ സ്ഥലത്തും kittum. It's just that we are not very, we should definitely find, I think one of the panelists mentioned earlier that we are not very competitive. We should be very competitive, apply, ellam best സ്ഥലത്ത് apply ചെയ്യണം. Like when you apply, there is this 7 schools that you apply to, 3 high universities, 3 middle level universities, and 3 low tier university. So that you'll get at least 3 or 4. Apply in 7 colleges, you'll get at least 3. So ella tier top university to CET students, you all should apply, and you all, I'm sure you'll get in. So definitely keep it in your bucket list to apply to the top universities.
I just want to add about the application thing. You can also try applying for non-traditional departments. Like in my case, I had my master's in civil engineering from IIT, but when I applied to PhD, I obviously had an offer, like I said, but if we can, I applied to a department, Ag and Bioengineering, Agriculture and Biological Engineering department, which is not like found in many universities. So it's not a very traditional department, but they still had a water resources area within their department. So people, they were doing all sorts of water related research. So, but it's sometimes easier to get into those departments than getting into civil engineering departments. So try looking for traditional departments. You may still be able to, do what you want, but just in a different major.
Thanks a lot, Femina and Anu. All this gives me a lot of hope, actually, because even thinking about getting into an IIT for MTech seems kind of a, steep mountain to climb. But then there are things beyond that. There are many good opportunities beyond that. First of all, I think we have to identify where we want to work, what we want to do, and then we can find a suitable course accordingly. So a college accordingly. So thanks a lot for the session. I wanted to ask a lot more of questions. I had prepared so many of them, as you guys know. So, but still, due to the limitations of time, we are going to have to wind this session up. I'd like to thank everybody who came to, I'd like to thank all the panelists and every member who came to attend this meeting. So I invite Shruti for the vote of thanks.
Just a quick point before that. So feel free to
sure.
any of us through LinkedIn or Gmail. So like a lot of IIT students reach out to, at least I get a lot of messages from IIT bachelor students asking about what's the process, how can we help and all that. And I've not seen a single CET student reaching out. So feel free to reach out to anybody who you see interest in LinkedIn, message them. People are very receptive. They reply to you, they'll help you, mentor you. So feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn.
An opportunity within the chat itself. I've asked a few of our CTNs from NUS to join in. Hey, Ashok is there. He has dropped a message. I think one more person from NTU is also there. So you guys can reach out to them via chat as well. So the idea from my side here is not to break the chain. So every year we want 1 or 2 students in NUS or NTU from CET. So this would increase the brand of CET within Singapore. And it's much easier when you have an immediate senior there to apply to college. So yeah.
Okay. So Abhishek, shall we wind up?
Yeah, we can wind up.
Okay. So thank you, Abhishek, and thank you all the panelists out there. നമുക്ക് കുറേയധികം questions chat box ൽ കിട്ടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. And yeah, very happy to see all the questions, all your queries. നമുക്ക് പക്ഷേ ഒരു time constraint ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മൾ correct 8 മണിക്ക് തുടങ്ങി. We have scheduled it for 1 hour. So നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ 12 minutes. We have gone past it. So it's time to wind up the session. ഇനി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറേ ചോദ്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് അറിയാം. So you can actually connect with all the panelists are there offline. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് WhatsApp നമുക്ക് Inspire CET group ഉണ്ട്. So stay tuned to be connected in the group. നമ്മൾ ഇവരൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിൽ ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. So you can ask your questions. You can clear your questions via that particular group. Okay. Now for the final vote of thanks. Let me welcome Shruti S, who is a 3rd year electrical and electronics engineering student. Shruti.
Hello.
Shruti, yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you, Ankita. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Gigi CV, principal of our college. He is a part of this great. And next, I would like to thank all the panel members present here. Femina, Anu, Gokul, Balagopal or Balu, John, and Krishna Kumar. Students in the oral question, they gave a really good, really satisfying and precise answers. And it's an interactive session handled by your panel members. So I would like to thank all of them. And next, I would like to thank all the alumni, CT alumni, and CT faculty who really worked hard from the beginning to bring up events such as Inspire and Collaborate CT. പല ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസും റിസർച്ച് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസും ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് സ്റ്റുഡൻസിനെ അറിയിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഒരു ഇനിഷ്യേറ്റീവ് ആണ് ആൻഡ് ദേ ഹാവ് റിയലി ഡൺ എ ഗ്രേറ്റ് ജോബ് ഇൻ ദിസ്. And next, I would like to thank all the CTNs who successfully hosted this event, and especially Ankita and Abhishek, who did a great job in hosting this event. And last but not least, I would like to thank all the participants, and we didn't expect such participation from CTNs, and I would like to, and we will expect such support for the future events of Alumni Association. And thank you. Over to Ankita.
Thank you so much, Ruthi. പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ we're at നിങ്ങളുടെ questions and queries ഒക്കെ we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We have more to explore, we have more to ask, we have more to like answer in order to reach a dream destination. So keep on asking, keep on answering the questions. അപ്പം ഇനി ഇതുപോലെ ഇൻസ്പയർ CT ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ആയിട്ട് കണക്റ്റഡ് ആയിരിക്കും ഇവിടെ എല്ലാവരും. You can have all your questions answered via the group. So thank you everyone for participating in the session right today. ഈ ഒരു സമയത്ത് ഇത്രയും ഒരു വലിയ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേഷൻ കണ്ടതിൽ ഒത്തിരി സന്തോഷം. Stay connected with us and stay tuned for all the future sessions. So thank you so much everyone. Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, the panelists, the students.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists and the students who joined.